Hey guys, make sure to buy some bonds, buy some stocks, because it's time for the Chatterbox. So today we are joined by Mr. Longhair himself, Longhair Don't Care, Guy Pong. What's up?
Hey.
And,
Hello, guys.
he is, gosh, you just look so beautiful today. You got your little puppy in the background there.
Wow, thanks.
So it's adorbs. And also in the other corner, Amanda. She's a new and upcoming YouTuber. Does a lot of opinion-based stuff. I ran into on Twitter. Just fantastic points over there. I'm really glad we got her today. Today we're going to be talking about something I actually wanted to talk about for a little while. I wanted to make sure I got a group of people together. That way we got enough, varying opinions. I said we're going to be talking about difficulty in gaming and our personal experiences. Before we get into any of that, Guy Pon, what you been playing lately?
Games. Honestly, I don't think, for what I've been playing lately, it's not the best topic, just because I've been playing a lot of VR chat, because I've been streaming that a lot. But I just recently got Nier Automata, and I started it last night.
Oh my god, that is my favorite game.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about it, and then it went on sale, so I was like, let me pick it up. Why not?
You're gonna love it.
Yeah.
And if you don't,
Besides
I don't
that,
like you.
All right. What about you, Amanda? What have you? I know you've picked up a lot of stuff recently.
Yeah, mostly I've just been playing Bayonetta and Monster Hunter.
Man, I've heard a lot about the Monster Hunter recently, and Twitter's been blowing up with that. I don't know.
It's really fun.
I need to be able to take my Monster Hunters with me. I can't. I can't sit in front of my TV and play Monster Hunter anymore. I don't know. I feel like I've been spoiled. I have been just absolutely addicted to League of Legends. I'm level 37. Started freaking last week or so. A little before that. It's been crazy. I got some Xbox games. Tried Gears of War. That is some dude bro stuff. That was a little too much dude bro for me.
Yeah.
you're not wrong.
I haven't heard someone in a video game say awesome in a long time. It was so weird. But yeah, so we're here to talk about difficulty in gaming. We've gone, and it's funny because Gears of War has been one of the weirdest hours of my life. It was just like an hour, and I was like, I'm done. Because what happened that sparked this whole wanting to talk about this was when the game started, it gave me three options, for the type of difficulty I wanted to play. The first one was casual, and then it was like veteran or something like that. But the descriptions below them were like, okay, for casual, it was like if you've ever played like shooters before and you're not like super used to them. The next one was if you know how to get a headshot. And that was it. Like, that was the distinction. And I was like, okay, I don't know what any of this means. So I went the second one because I'm not a fucking casual. I played my Call of Duties. I know what I'm doing, right? Big mistake. That was man, just the enemy time of deaths. It was crazy. And I'm a person who genuinely considers myself, good at video games. There are times where I'll pick up a video game and I'm just like, this is too much. I can't handle this. Let me turn down the settings or whatever. But I guess the biggest thing, and what we're going to start with here, is multiple difficulties, where we stand on those and what our experiences with those. Because frankly, I feel I'm of the party that feels that if a game has multiple difficulties, okay, across the board, I think you should be able to enjoy everything that the game has to offer throughout all of those difficulties. I don't think you should be penalized for playing in easy mode, like getting like there was a Twitter post a little while ago that said that I think it was like Cuphead, that like the best ending is locked behind not playing in simple mode or whatever, something like that.
The simple mode's not even simple.
Yeah, when it comes to Cuphead, I don't think anything's simple about that game.
I think that you should be able to experience everything the game has to offer. I don't mean like things like trophies. I know there are trophies. There's like a billion trophies for completing the game on hard mode and that kind of thing. Yeah,
Sometimes
I mean that's a whole other topic. But I mean, like as far as the in-game content, I think you should be able to unlock all endings, that kind of thing. I don't think you should be penalized for playing in an easier mode. However,
You would hate
really,
Kingdom Hearts
yeah, I was gonna talk about
yeah.
that.
because cutscenes are blocked behind proud
Wow.
mode or like
Well,
yeah,
like secret endings technically.
yeah.
So
But
like,
they're essential to the plot.
Wow.
So
yeah.
See, this is I've never played Kingdom Hearts. I
you
was really
just Google it. If you,
So, yeah, like
That's what I did.
What are some of your experiences with multiple difficulties? And we'll start with you, Amanda, since you just recently did a video on your opinions about games and difficulty.
I'm in the camp that believes like games should be accessible to a masses amount of people, especially because like gaming has grown. So you got different types of people, and it's like just choices would be appreciated. It doesn't have to be like hard, like difficult. It's like it's not a test.
It's only a game. Why do you
Yeah.
have to get mad?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's just the way you play it. Why do other people get like heated because there's an easier mode?
Right.
It doesn't affect you.
No, and I totally get that. There are people out there, and I know a few of them personally, who are the diehard. There's no mode other than insane mode. Like I play games for challenges and things like that. I don't necessarily believe that every game should just be this rage fest of a game.
If it doesn't impact the game like narratively or anything, like Cuphead could have had an easy mode. Nothing would have changed.
I think that sometimes.
Except
Yeah,
you could beat
I think that
it.
sometimes when it comes to games like that, it's also a matter of length. And I don't mean that it's every game that's ever existed, but I do mean that sometimes there are certain video game experiences that through things like easier modes or easier difficulties that the length of the game in like that you experience is shorter. So for example, let's say that there is a 5-hour narrative game, like there's some indie game that's 5 hours and it has an easy mode, and because you played in easy mode, the game only lasts about 2 to 3. Because of that, I mean, some of the time that we do play in games is through just difficult times. I remember, oh my gosh, I picked up this game for the Nintendo Switch. Oh my gosh, why is it Hyper Light Drifter? There we go. It's so good.
I love that game.
Narrative
I freaking
is
love that
so
game.
good,
I have a whole
right, and I was partway through the game, and I'm just getting my ass kicked like over and over and over again. I'm like, why am I dying so much? I don't understand this. I'm not bad at games, and I'm like, maybe I accidentally like switched on like a hard mode or something. I go to the thing, and it's already on hard mode, and I'm like, what? I don't remember ever changing it. Maybe I did. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, I got to that point already in hard mode, so I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna turn it down. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna persevere because I do want to see how the narrative ends, and because it's a crazy story. It was so good.
Yeah, dude.
And
oh my god, that was one of the best games I played.
Part of me is like, a part of me is, had I turned it down, I feel like it would have been a much shorter experience, and I don't know that I would have appreciated it as much, for that personal challenge. I still enjoy games like Kirby, which have one's difficulty setting, and Kirby is one of the easiest franchises known to man, barring Tetris. But, I can enjoy both of those, and I can enjoy both of the narratives those types of games offer.
But what, like I said with Cuphead, was the difficulty was cheap because it's just there to make the game longer. That's it.
Yeah.
They could have added like little more content that was like easier, but since it was just there, I guess someone was like, our game is too short, how do we make it longer? Someone was like, oh, we just ramp it up to hard.
I've heard that a few times.
Yeah, Cuphead is more, the difficulty of Cuphead is more like, learn the patterns and you'll get it. instead of
Yeah,
being like
yeah,
it is
it's like
actually
luck.
challenging.
I don't know. I've
Really
heard
luck.
both things. I've heard that like, oh, if you learn what the enemy patterns do, you can see what, because they do like little twitches or whatever, or little tells that'll tell you what they're about to do.
Yeah.
But because the matches are like procedurally generated, there's no like actual set pattern to their attacks. So you do have to learn every time you go in, and sometimes you will die cheaply. Um,
Yeah, you would die in the last
I
minute. Oh my god.
I think in the harder difficulties they change their patterns around, because I haven't played the hardest one. I just played the standard, not the
Yeah, they
simple,
have
but just
a
standard.
third phase.
Yeah, and you can see that they have different phases, because when you die, it shows you like, oh, the little flag and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, like in the regular standard mode, their patterns never change. So it's basically like, if it's still a hard game, like it's hard as hell. Like I had trouble beating it. But like if you learn the patterns, you're basically fine. And you also like have to know which weapons are better for which
so,
enemies and
Daikon,
stuff
what
like
what
that.
are some of your
So.
experiences with multiple difficulties and like just unclear stuff? There.
Well, I feel like difficulty. I always think like when it comes to difficulty in games, I always thought like the best way to do it is to level it up while you're playing, instead of just being like, here's easy, medium, and hard. Pick whatever you want. But hey, easy, you're not gonna. It's gonna be really easy, so we're not gonna lock some stuff because you're a little bitch. It's like, come on.
I think. No, go ahead.
And then, no, I was just gonna say that I think it's kind of dumb when they start insulting you, kind of like how Wolfenstein does. Where it's like baby mode or like something like that.
Oh
And
yeah, I had like 6 modes.
I
Or
think
something.
it's. I think Dark Souls, and it is really funny that I'm using this as a reference. Dark Souls and Bloodborne do it a very interesting and I think a good way, where there's technically one set difficulty. Like there's no, like, oh, there's no simple mode or anything like that.
Yeah.
But the weapon that you choose at the beginning, or especially in the case of Bloodborne, there's a community-based, difficulty setting. Like you get the cane if you want to go hard mode. And the cleaver, that kind of thing, if you want to go to like, quote unquote easier mode.
You could make the game
Right,
harder
based
or
on what
easier.
you're using, exactly, and
as you
just putting it
want.
in your hands. But the the gameplay itself doesn't change, and I know that's not something that can translate to every video game forum. But I do think that adding a bit of personal challenge could alleviate some of the accessibility issues. So let's say, for instance, like you're in a Call of Duty game, you got the campaign mode has one difficulty mode. The gameplay doesn't change. However, they give you like, oh, this is a machine gun, this is a shotgun, and this is a pistol. You want the extra challenge? Here you go. This pistol mode. That's it. That kind of thing. I do like when games do that. The one thing I will say about the multiple difficulty modes that has really pissed me off the most is just the level of like unclear nature a lot of them have, where you'll go into normal mode and it's just like this is what the game was supposed to be. However, hard mode is just like the enemies have more health. That's not what is that?
yeah,
Like,
I hate when games
like,
do
at
that.
least put some thought into it, or
That's
at least
Destiny
like
thing.
if
That's a
it's an
Destiny
easier
thing.
mode, oh, the enemies just have less health and the AI is brain dead. Okay, well that's still not engaging. I don't. The thing that Kirby does well is that while it's a simple game and while a lot of people would say it's a very easy franchise, there are things you can do within that game that make you feel like you are just absolutely crushing it instead of the game being like feeling like it's being handed to you. Hashtag Ninja Kirby.
Yeah.
But I just I think it's really cool that we have so much of a spectrum in our gaming space of games with just one solid setting, and so much that we can do with those one setting games. So I guess we're gonna move on into the next topic. About video game difficulty, and that in and of itself is, do you think that accessibility hurts a game? So
What do you mean by
making it
accessibility,
so
though?
broad that it hurts the game as an art form? Because like what Amanda was saying is that games, she was saying that games need to be, especially with the way they're evolving, more accessible to a broader audience. And yes, to some degree, I believe to some degree that that's true. However, I don't think that certain games need to sacrifice, like for Dark Souls, I don't think that that game needs to have an easier mode to make it more accessible, because that's what Dark Souls is. That's, why so many people fall in love with those games. Same thing with Celeste. That's another game that just recently came out. Huge difficulty learning curve there.
Yeah, I've seen videos.
But I think
It's
to
crazy.
some degree, I think that it adds to a lot of the beauty behind these games. I think it adds to the challenge. I also believe that game, if it were easier, would be a very short experience, that kind of thing. But it's not necessarily a knock against them, because I love short experiences. I don't think there's anything wrong with short experiences, but the way things are with refund systems that we have digitally now, I do understand that it is a little bit dangerous to put a shorter experience game out there. It's a really interesting and sad kind of seesaw that they have there. But yeah, so as a whole, do you believe that accessibility, could hurt the integrity of the game?
No, if it's done well, you have to be creative about it. Like, Fire Emblem is a game that does it well.
No, because of
Like,
the no, you don't get
the
your heroes back if they die.
like you could choose the classic or the casual, and even within that, you have the normal, easy, and hard. So there's like
Mm-hmm.
a broad spectrum, and the tutorial is good, and there's a lot of chance to like grind and like get to like train and stuff, I guess you could say. So it's one of those games where you play first casual, but then when you beat it, you're like, I could tackle on the
But
classic
couldn't that be
mode.
said about any video game with multiple difficulties, though? Like Cuphead, for example. Like, if you beat
Yeah,
Simple,
I don't.
I'm not saying that you wouldn't have, PTSD about that game and not want to do it again. But I'm just saying, like, isn't that something that someone could do? Is say, okay, I beat Simple. Let me see what normal is all about.
Yeah, that's what I want. Like, just options, not just one broad difficulty. Like, Cuphead is
So
just hard.
let's say that they're in a different dimension. There's a game that you're super interested in. You've got all the hype for it. And it comes out. There's one difficulty, and it's a Cuphead style game. Does that kill it for you? Is it just like I'm not doing it, no matter how hyped I was for this game?
Well, I thought Cuphead wasn't gonna be hard. I thought it was just a
Oh.
platformer.
A lot of people think that.
Yeah, like the difficulty caught me off like guard, really. And that's the thing, difficulty is like very subjective.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
what's difficult for somebody might not be difficult for me. So I just like there to be options so you can find what works for you.
I feel you.
But if the game is easy in nature, then it's probably not going to need a difficulty like thing, unless if it's harder. But I just want everyone to have their
What about you,
options.
Gaipon? What do you think?
Well, I don't think accessibility is really a bad thing. I know a lot of people complain about Cuphead, like having that simple mode, and everyone's like, "Oh, why'd you put a simple mode?" And I'm like, "What does it matter? Like, you don't have to play
Because they
it.
have to eat. They have to make
It's
sure
just
they
there,
eat.
yeah, it's just there for everyone else. So, like, if you want to play like a Dark Souls game, then go play Dark Souls or like something that's similar to it. But even if those games had like a simple mode, I wouldn't really complain about it because it's like I said, you don't have to play like that. It's just there for the people that don't want to that are not good at games. There's kids that play video games out there, incredibly enough, and they're
I
not all
will
good at
say
it.
that doesn't necessarily translate, though, because being good at Cuphead does not make you good at Dark Souls, and vice versa. It does. But it does
No, of
build
course not.
persistence,
But
though.
you know what
I
I mean.
will say, of all
Yeah.
things, Jesus, that game, Bloodborne. My goodness, died so many times.
Yeah, like I've seen like a trend that most games that are considered hard are the games that you have to be patient. Like the difficulty is not like in the puzzles or
Mm-hmm.
the like the managing or anything. It's the enemies. Like they could one hit you And I'm like, you could explore
I
different
see what you're
kinds of
saying. So rather than
difficulties.
making it cheap or anything like that, like mentally tasking is the like the better thing. I see what you're saying there.
Like
Hmm.
RPGs do it a lot, where it's more like you have to know how to get around to make the game easier for you. So you figure stuff
So
out,
you'd
you
rather the
explore.
difficulty be in the problem solving than the actual gameplay.
Yeah, like if like the AI is like insanely difficult and they kill like one hit kill you, it really takes away from the game
Yeah, I
because
mean, and I see what you're
you're gonna
saying, and
stop there.
artistically, it makes sense that at your core as a game developer, I would think that I want people to see my whole vision. I want them to see it from beginning to end. I want them to enjoy everything from beginning to end. And if the narrative, is really important at the end and all that, which it should be. That's just good game design. Then you
Mm.
should want people to be able to get through that regardless. That's why, I mean, there were certain games I remember growing up with where once you got into a difficulty setting, you were locked in, and you either finish it or you got
Kingdom
to start
Hearts.
all the way over.
Yeah.
And I do like this new system that we've adopted in modern gens. This is times gone by where you can decrease the difficulty for like a certain part. Let's just say you're just getting mollywopped on one level over and over and over again. You can turn down the difficulty for that one level and then turn it back to where it was later on. I have no qualms with that because sometimes you just want to get to the next cutscene. I get it.
Yeah.
And
Other times you just don't have time to play
exactly.
such long games. You're just like,
And
oh
what's
god,
more, it
just
honestly isn't anyone else's business. I like, you're not gonna tell anybody. Oh, I turned it down for that boss fight. Don't tell anybody. But yeah, it's really interesting, this whole accessibility thing. I've seen a lot of the whole get good crowd just really flame on people for not being able to complete it. I remember though that video of that I think it was a journalist trying to play Cuphead, the intro level.
Oh my god, yeah.
That was a hard watch.
That was a
Yeah.
hard watch for everybody, even himself.
I was like, oh my god. And then when I got like past the tutorial, I'm like, holy
This is the
shit.
game.
I feel what this guy
Yeah.
was feeling.
It's just a jump and dash. It's just jump and dash.
I was like, oh, I could get past the tutorial just fine. And then I
Yeah.
got like,
It's
ugh.
I don't know. I think it's really cool where things are going. I think that we're not going to get multiple difficulties and everything. I don't think every game needs multiple difficulties. Nintendo has been one of those outliers
No,
for some reason. Like we just got Master Mode for Breath of the Wild, and I thought that
Oh.
was really cool. I liked it. I played for a while, but at the end of the day, it was just more health on enemies.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
more
know.
health. It's what it is. And
They regen.
yeah, and you get hurt.
That's
Yeah,
what,
and
that
that's
was,
what annoyed me
that's
about.
what
Okay,
made
so
me stop playing.
yeah, I was like, they regen? Are you kidding me? It's exceptionally very annoying when
Yeah.
you're doing the master mode. Like I mean, the Trial of the Swords. Like it's incredibly annoying to have health regen when you're already in a situation where you don't have any weapons and you have to use anything you can find.
Yeah.
It's really
Oh,
annoying.
it's dumb.
It's dumb. I broke my monitor because of that. I'm not even joking. Like
You played the game like Master Mode was just
Right.
an extra.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's like because Nintendo like really has a nice standardized level of difficulty
Right.
for their game.
I don't know, with the exception of Odyssey, though. To be honest, I thought the game was the boss battles were a little too easy.
Yeah,
But
Odyssey's boss
however,
battle were a joke.
the end boss battles,
Yeah.
that's where I was like, why weren't these the regular boss battles? Oh my gosh, those things. Some of those. I've never thrown my controller at a Mario game before. That was crazy. The gravity was just. Anyways, I'm off topic, but yeah. But yeah, and so Nintendo does this thing where they have one set difficulty mode for a lot of their games, and I think that's really interesting in the idea that this is how they wanted us to experience the game. And you know how Nintendo has like no problem with accessibility. Anybody can pick up a Nintendo game, for the most part, and just play it. I can't think of any like really difficult Nintendo games. None of them really come to mind.
Well, there's Fire Emblem could be really hard if you make it hard.
Classic mode, though.
Classic lunatic.
Right.
Mode.
But I mean, just like, okay, so like for Pokemon, for example, Pokemon has become one of the easiest franchises to pick up and play. There was a lot of people who got really upset with the feature they added in Sun and Moon with, you know, telling you what moves are super effective, that kind of thing. Right.
I thought that was cool because, like, I always wanted to figure that out. Like, so you know, the fact that they tell me is like good. I don't have to Google it anymore.
No, literally,
like,
that's what I was thinking. I was like, I used to have to pull up my phone to check out, you know, what type is this Pokemon and that kind of thing. I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't take away from the game. The game was still a fun experience. I didn't feel like, oh, I can't believe I wasted $40 on this baby game. No, that's not how I feel when I play, you know, simpler games. There's nothing wrong with playing simpler games. But
sometimes even simple games are hard.
The story, you just want to, you know, go to the next scene, or like just have an easier like ride.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of it comes from. It's just wanting to experience the narrative. I really just don't understand why anyone would want to hide.
So my thing is just options. Just put like options.
I feel like just to go back a little bit. I also feel like a game does it right when they give you the tools to be good at the game, but it doesn't have a difficulty setter. Kind of like Hyper Light. I'm pretty sure it automatically puts it on hard. I think, but that's because yeah. But when you think about it, it gives you like a lot of tools to like, you know, beat the enemy and stuff, and then that's where I think usually RPGs do these the best because you level up and stuff. But I do think like if a game gives you enough tools to like for you to utilize and then you learn those tools, usually a game's difficulty kind of becomes obsolete because you just start learning how to like play the game basically. Like in Horizon, I don't know if you ever played Horizon Zero Dawn, but they gave you weapons and you don't necessarily like level up. You have a skill tree and stuff, but most of the times, even if you didn't put any like points into anything, you can kill anything as long as you know what you're doing. Like, and that's how I think it should be handled. It's like just give the players like enough tools or like whatever, you know, weapons. Let them learn it, like, or you know, give a tutorial or just let them learn by themselves, and then from there they can just kind of combo everything together and you know do whatever they want. Really,
yeah.
I feel like that's the right way to what do you say? I keep forgetting words for some reason. To
increase accessibility.
Okay, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
To approach it. There you go. I was like, process it. I don't know why I was thinking of the P word. I think that's a good way to approach it. It's just in that way.
Okay. So what is the most difficult game you've ever played?
Yeah,
we can start with you.
Let me look at my game, my big library.
I would say Bloodborne and Cuphead. Well, not played. I haven't beaten any of those. But
I'm gonna say Dark Souls 2 for me.
Hyper Light was definitely hard, but after I learned how to do things, I kind of the last boss fight was kind of hard for me, and then I was like, okay, yeah. So my favorite games of all time, one of my favorite games of all time, Hotline Miami 2, was probably the hardest game I have ever freaking played. I hate how they managed difficulty in that one, because the first one, it was perfect, because the first one, it was more like, it's all one-hit kills, but then you can restart whenever you die, and it's all fast-paced. So like the first one, it was more like they put enough enemies in rooms, and the rooms were kind of small and everything. But then the second game comes in, and then it's just like people are shooting you like out of boundaries, and you're just dying randomly. Like what? How did you mess this up? Like they didn't mess up the whole game entirely, but there are places, like there are specific sections that are like that, and it's annoying because it's like you're getting killed by something you don't even know what's killing you.
Yeah, like
which is
difficult spikes out of nowhere.
That's one of the
Yeah,
biggest
it's-
annoyances. Is
but I love Hollow
difficulty
Miami, though.
spikes.
regardless. So
But yeah, I did Bloodborne 2. Oh my god, Bloodborne 2. Dark Souls 2. I played that because I don't know why I played it, because I knew I was gonna hate it, because I really don't like that kind of game, and every fight is a freaking boss fight, and you know the fireplaces are like 7 miles apart, so you know that's great. So I finally beat, you know, the first enemy, and I look up the hill, and there's another one just like that guy, and I have no health left. So it's just one of those trial and error games. First one was, I hate trial and error games. That's not cool. But it's,
Yeah.
I tried again with, you know, that whole that company, and I tried Bloodborne. I found Bloodborne to be a little easier to get through. I think the game paced itself a lot better than Dark Souls 2. I've heard a lot of good things about Dark Souls 3, though, so I might want to try that again. But my goodness, Dark Souls 2, just no. So much no. Mega Man's always been a difficult.
That reminds me when I
too, because that Mega Man's always it's supposed to be hard. That's just what it is.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think the second one was where I was like, I can't. I'm gonna skip to 7 because I heard 7 was easier, and it definitely was easier. And don't even talk to me about X, but yeah, basically the whole Mega Man franchise.
That's the first one I
and
played.
Dark Souls 2. Yeah.
I played God of War Ascension on the hardest difficulty, and that was hard.
I think there is some sort of like some
And then I played-
reward to it sometimes, though. I'm not gonna lie, like I do feel like with Hyper Light
Yeah.
Drifter, I did feel a bit more accomplished because I didn't know that it was hard mode by default and that kind of thing, and it was cool. It was cool. I felt like I had gotten somewhere.
That's the thing. Like, I don't understand why people enjoy very hard games.
I think that's what it is.
They like want them
It's-
harder and harder. It's like,
Where's
Do you-
Yeah, that's what it is.
do they go to like school and say, "Give me the hardest test you could give me"? Like, no. Well, I don't
Yeah.
It's
get
the
it.
dopamine receptors, man. People get high off of that.
But like I said, they don't go to their teacher and say, "I want the hardest test you could give me."
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. It was an awesome conversation. You definitely check out more of these. We've got a lot of Chatterboxes. Make sure to check those out. And Gaipon, where can we find you?
You can find me at Pillsbury Dough Farm. No, just kidding. GG Gaiti. And YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. What else do I have? Well, my Instagram's Game Over Gion, so whatever. I got an Instagram because that's what the cool kids
If
do.
there is
So
one game
all the
you can tell people to spend their money on, one game for the rest of their lives, what would it be?
That's hard for me. I played so many, man. I played way too many games in my childhood. But definitely, just because I talked about earlier, Hotline Miami. Like, honestly, it is a little hard, but it's not extremely hard, and you would be able to beat it, no problem. Because, like I said, it's like a you'll learn. It's Hotline Miami if you want to experience a weird 80s experience with where you have no idea what the hell the plot is going on, because they don't explain it until the second game. So yeah, it's a really
Amanda,
great
where
experience.
Can we find you?
My Twitter and YouTube is Mandy Lee Plays. The M and the P are capital.
Gotta get them specifics.
Is it? Yeah, just Mandy Lee Plays. I don't know if there's a 14. No, I
Okay,
don't
and
think so.
one game play for the rest of your life, what would you recommend?
Shadow of the Colossus. It's
Ooh,
it's
that
like
just
a
came out,
boss rush game, like Cuphead, but you can actually beat it. It's a very
And it's open
beautiful
world.
game. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for joining me today. It was an awesome conversation, really. It was great having you guys.
Thanks for having us.